This is my first interview, or second, depending on how you think of it, or discussion with William. William, I've known pretty much since I met him, has some relationship to Scientology, as do I. They are very different. So I'd like to conduct a discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
Me or understanding of Scientology, and well, just start talking about Scientology and you, and however you want to do it.
Okay, here's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
The Union is in the United States a huge victory in court when they codified the economic rules running as a business. For an entire world of people go into business, up churches of their own. Now, the biggest and first of these is a billboard that advertises and allows people to know that they can do that. They can just fill out their paperwork and run a church as a business. Okay, the model product for that entire union movement was the Church of Scientology.
What relationship are you asserting specifically and exactly?
Oh, that if you want to just make up a church and run it as a business, Scientology is the flag bearer of that business.
Are you asserting that Scientology is Protestantism in disguise?
Absolutely. It is a Catholic Protestant denomination among churches. There is no doubt about it.
Fascinating. You wouldn't think so.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why that isn't quite true. You see, the Church of Scientology was not born as a religion until the government was willing to, give them grants and tax exemptions and things the churches get in the United States. But
when are you asserting that that occurred? Because I know that the
1952 or something.
Okay, it was 54. Scientology was created in 52, and it was made a church in 54.
Okay, but like I was saying, so it actually gets its economic roots from the Protestant movement in the United States at that time. The reason it was able to become a church is because the Protestants in the United States set up a new system to where anything can be a church, and you just have to operate it according to its rules of economy and things like that.
So do you believe that the Church of Scientology is funneling money to Protestantism or some denomination of Protestantism?
That's a weird question. I think it is a denomination of Protestantism and funnels money to its owners.
Well, that's just bizarre. I mean, its seeming roots based on its doctrines are like, as opposed to Protestantism as you can imagine. I mean, if you take the philosophy espoused by Hubbard at face value, I would say that the Church of Scientology has accurately described it as a cross between Buddhism and the philosophy of Henri Bergson. So those seem to me to be its roots. And I mean, it's much more like many forms of mysticism on the surface, mystical religions and philosophical religions, than it is like Protestant theology or Catholic theology.
The doctrine is irrelevant. The idea that you can just make something up and call it a church is part of the Protestant Union business model. Okay? So it doesn't matter what the doctrine is. If somebody made it up and called it a church, then that technically falls into Protestantism, especially if you're talking about the Church of Scientology in the United States. Now, technically, you could say, as a matter of doctrinal theism or whatever, that it isn't really a Christian faith, but according to my writing, it is actually a rebranding of the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs. Its entire theme is island real estate.
Island real estate?
Yep, island real estate.
So does the Church of Scientology own a lot of island real estate?
Yep. I would go so far as to say, before the 50s, it was a group of island realtors exporting women that gave them political authority. You know, like you look at somebody from an island being an actor in a movie or something, and we are all related to them because of how few people they were when they first began to colonize.
Are you at all... are you aware of the fact that William S. Burroughs was briefly a member of the Church of Scientology?
No.
I ask because I'm wondering what would you think if I told you William Burroughs claimed that he had, scried, as it were, that the real Scientology as a movement, the movement of Scientology predates Scientology by about 200 years, and that the founder of the real movement was neither all that famous nor all that non-famous.
Well, that's partly true according to my theists, or my thesis. And that is because, as I was saying, the Church of Scientology was not always called Scientology. Before America and before all of it, really, it was called the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs. Okay, and it was.
Is this something I could look up on Wikipedia?
You could go and pay your things in Scientology, in the Church of Scientology, and get the damn secret history of the church.
Huh.
But anyway, like I said, it was actually the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs. But after World War II, a group...
The what? Is that CLAN, Clan Island?
Island Monarchs, yeah. Okay, now after World War II, a lot of these islands that have...
Is there a group of islands called the Clan Islands?
All islands are clan islands if they are populated. It is a technical term, not a name. Okay, now, after World War II, a group of Navy waterfarers had inside information about which of these islands was falling under a new political union. Okay? You know, like some islands belong to Borneo, some belong to the United States, etc., so forth. And so they enacted a genocide against the islanders on the islands that belonged to the United States and registered those places as being unpopulated. They said there were no people because they had killed all 50 of the ones that lived there originally and used that as a scheme to confiscate real estate. And that is actually the origin of the Church of Scientology's connection to island real estate. It wasn't until another 10 years later that they sort of made a devil's deal and became equally well connected to the medical industry globally. Okay? And like before, they engaged in genocide and changed the law for the island of Haiti, making it a quarantine for AIDS.
You're saying the Church of Scientology did this?
Making it a quarantine for AIDS victims, which they also used to depopulate islands whose real estate they had intended to confiscate.
Wow, if this is true, this is just
This is
utterly different than the surface of what Scientology seems to be.
Well, Scientology,
just unbelievably different. There's nothing about, anything Hubbard said in lectures or anything that would suggest that. It is true.
They picked the stupidest one, and the naval village from the people who had arose on the islands they confiscated.
So you're saying that the doctrines of Scientology come from this group called what?
The Church of the Clan Island Monarchs. And not so much the doctrines of the church, but the origins of the church. Okay, basically, the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs had prophecies foretelling the white man coming and killing them to the last man, woman, and child. Okay, and eventually that happened. Okay, like I said, it was a group of naval officers after World War II that confiscated real estate from among island chains falling under United States authority by claiming that they were not populated. Like they'd go to a tiny little island in the middle of the ocean, and then it's only got 20 people living there. You cut all 20 of their throats, then turn in the paperwork saying, I'm claiming this unpopulated island. A lot of that was going on after World War II, and that's where Scientology as an organization got most of its starting capital.
I could see what you're saying as an actual possibility. So I don't... Look, as a person who's been investigating both Scientology and Western metaphysics, like my unusual point of view is that whether Hubbard's purposes were, as I would call it, evil, as you say.
I didn't say so.
Okay, yeah, but I do. I say that would be utterly evil.
That was before Hubbard. As I said, he was actually the first person, one of the people from the first generation that grew up on the island that they had confiscated.
Huh? You're saying Hubbard grew up on an island?
Yeah, he was actually, or he didn't grow up necessarily on an island, but his parents were like naval officers. He was part of...
Yeah, his father was a naval officer.
Exactly.
His mother worked for the government.
Okay. And like I said, he was one of the people who grew up on not grew up, but got rich from confiscating an island. They killed everybody that lived on the island originally and set up their own private little colony, and the government gave them the land for free.
You're saying Hubbard's father did this?
Well, he was in a group of people that did that after World War II. No one person specifically did any of this. It was just a group of people who knew where the real estate was.
It's interesting. We don't ever hear about the activities of Hubbard's father other than in relationship to, Hubbard's claims to having known a guy named Snake Thompson, and that they did, in fact, go to China.
After World War II, island chains were being given to national authorities, and a group of naval officers identified islands they could confiscate for free for real estate just by killing a tiny handful of people.
Do you think Hubbard knew that he was being funded by a group of this sort?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
But when Hubbard died, as any free zone Scientologist will tell you, the entire structure of, this is why I definitely take somewhat seriously your claim. The free zone owners will tell you that when Hubbard died, when Miscavige took over, he, it totally restructured the church, and it's an undeniable fact that it's like they seem to be concentrating on real estate.
I will explain to you why that is. Okay, now that was in the late 30s and early 40s.
When
they killed everybody and confiscated the islands.
Okay.
But they had to do it again in the 70s, and the method that they used was actually AIDS. They'd go to these same small islands and then tell them everybody has AIDS, and then export them to Haiti, okay, as a quarantine, and then with them gone and exported to Haiti, they confiscated their land. That involves the union of the Church of Scientology and the medical industry, and that's also when David Miscavige was appointed as the leader of the church.
Well, he didn't fully take over until right around the time of Hubbard's death.
Okay, here's the thing.
Miscavige was a kid.
L. Ron Hubbard was an avatar.
When Hubbard was alive.
Yeah. He was
like
an
a teenager,
avatar of the naval officers who confiscated the real estate. David Miscavige is an avatar of the medical industry and people who used disease to conquer island real estate, or to confiscate island real estate.
So you seem to be saying that the purpose of Scientology, it isn't even tied to one method or another, whether it's one method or whether it's another, it was literally created to confiscate island real estate.
I don't know if it was created for that. I think it already existed there, but we know Scientology because intermixing caused out their faith to become ours. And so that's why they changed the Church of Scientology or the Church of Clan Island Monarchs to the Church of Scientology.
So, okay, please explain to me exactly what the Church of Clan Island Monarchs was. Was this white folks or black folks or what?
It was all color folks, but the point is it was a proto-static religion, very primitive. People who live on islands developed that over time. And in fact,
you're talking about doctrines, metaphysical doctrines?
Jeez, buddy, you need to open a fucking book.
I've never heard of this stuff. You're coming from a totally different angle than I've ever looked into.
The Church of the Clan Island Monarchs actually predates the Hawaiian religions with characters like Kon-Tiki and Maui. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now that is also a denomination of the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs, but the point is that their stories and parables and crap like that all have to do with a world divided between subjectorate and authority, okay? When you are on an island and everybody is related in a certain way, people instinctively follow hierarchies, okay? Now, when people rebel against hierarchies, anyway, all I'm saying is it's like the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs are all about how islanders are inbred.
Okay, so I don't know how to ask this. What is their actual doctrine? Who is it targeted to?
Island congregants, you see. When you are on an island as a group of people for a certain amount of time, the world divides between the stupid, weak, and helpless, and the predatory and savage. People who are alpha static become the leaders and the authorities. Everybody else is just helpless and stupid and feeds off of them. Okay, that is a feature of Scientology. That is also a feature of the Clan Island Monarchs. Again, the Church of the Clan Island Monarchs basically was a church that was founded by chiefs of islands.
So what's definitely clear from what you're saying is that you don't think that there's any coincidence or even any oopsie about the type of church that the Church of Scientology became starting around 1960.
Well, I don't hold it against them that they believe certain things. For example, some people genuinely need authority to govern them. and to motivate them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is a legitimate...
I mean, are you aware of the fact that Scientology has a metaphysics?
Something, I don't know. I'm more interested in its political dimensions. I've read about the metaphysical dimensions and the linkage of spirits and yada yada, but again, mostly my specialization, although I do understand philosophy and divinity quite well, I also understand politics, political science.
See, because I have a very weird idea. Like, I've been looking into, metaphysical ideas in philosophy, especially the other kind of philosophy than academic philosophy, and ideas of secret societies and, Gnosticism and whatnot. And I would say, what reason why I still am interested in and like Scientology is nobody knows it apparently, but Hubbard, I've read a lot of the stuff. This is stuff that you can find in any Scientology book that concentrates on Hubbard's metaphysical doctrines. I think Hubbard had he had the stuff. He really had the answers that have been being searched for ages. Or Scientology never worked. And even then, it is what you're saying totally explains why the fact there are so few people in Scientology, even in the free zone, who have any interest in Hubbard as a metaphysician.
Yeah.
It totally explains that. But what I don't find explained is that, really, you take people like Blavatsky and Gurdjieff and what's his frick, the anthroposophy guy. I can't think of his name at this exact moment. You take these people and you look at them, and it's like Hubbard finally came up with the answers that people like them were looking for. The final synthesis that includes all of the elements of the problem. And yet he was such an unacademically oriented person. He just felt like he had no time for that stuff, and yet I can't even see, if he had no metaphysical side to him in reality, how he could, he's batting 100 whether he likes talking in big words or not. He's batting 1,000 whether he likes talking in big words or not. From the point of view of these guys were, working, and he's like the next logical step. And if you say that you do have some understanding of metaphysics, then not today, but the next interview we do should be you and I talking about why the heck I think so much of Hubbard as a metaphysician.
Well, he describes something that psychology is not allowed to really study, and that is suspension. You see, okay?
Suspension?
Yeah, suspension. Okay. Have you ever seen the introductory video to Scientology?
Yeah.
It says, okay, the memory that's fucking you up is in this side, and then it transfers to this side, but it's harmless.
Oh, by the way, that's the other thing he's the final step on, too, is the whole Freud-Jung thing. Mm-hmm. Which, you take Blavatsky or, not Gurdjieff, but you take Blavatsky and that anthroposophy guy, the anthroposophy guy died before Jung, but, the Golden Dawn current. People like, not so much but like Crowley and Israel Regardie and Dion Fortune, And like Hubbard's the final step on that stuff too.
Well, like I said, I was interested in that, talking about valence, you know.
And not only that, but although the initial impression was that Hubbard was talking to the general broad public, once you know about secret societies and whatnot, it's very clear his true audience was esotericists, even though he poo-pooed the entire word on multiple occasions and with pretty strong vehemence. Mm-hmm. So that's a little weird.
Wow.
I don't like, basically just saying I don't like that word more than anything else.
The whole thing about the Church of Scientology and its founding is about how much fun it is to have lesser people for slaves and have them come to you and demand authority. Things like that.
Rudolf Steiner, by the way, that's the name of that guy. I couldn't think of.
All I'm saying is,
and you know, the thing is that with the nature of religious laws in our, I'm not saying who cares, what the church thinks. But I am in relationship to people who, I've always thought of beliefs as being about, metaphysical statements.
No, it's about taking the authority of a spirit and making it into the authority of a man. Oh. I'm just saying, people with authority.
Oh, you think that of all religions or just the Abrahamic ones?
All religions are now the Abrahamic ones.
Oh, Hindus are now Abrahamic religions?
Yep. All Hindus, all Buddhists, all of them.
How so?
Because we executed their founders and replaced them with our own bastard daughters.
Hinduism doesn't have founders.
Yes, it does, or it has hierarchies. The tops of all of those hierarchies were replaced by avatars of the faith and disseminate to this day, converting every faith on earth to one of the Abrahamic faiths in a costume. Okay? There is such a thing as a Buddhist. That is called a triarch thesis congregant of some kind, be they Christian, Jew, or Muslim, wearing a costume that says Buddha. Okay?
Oh man, the amount of people that you would have to postulate being involved in a conspiracy of the sort
it is not a
you're talking about.
It is a biology. You see, the Abrahamic faiths do have a doctrinal thesis, but mostly they describe how groups of people biologically change over time. Okay?
Say that again?
The triarch thesis is three churches, the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And while they do have a doctrinal thesis, mostly they describe changes in biology over time in groups of people and the ways in which they divide themselves tribally. I'm telling you, there are no other churches but the ones that wear a costume. Yes, there is such a thing as a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Shintoist, whatever, but all of those, no matter what they teach, biologically conform themselves to being one of the three faiths of the triarch in costume.
You have a very sociobiological / evolutionary psychological point of view.
Yay. It's political.
Biopolitical.
Yeah, exactly. Political macrobiology. You see, every man wants the same thing. To fuck any woman he wants whenever he wants.
That's the exact doctrine of sociobiology.
Every woman wants the same thing. Security with land ownership.
Security with land ownership. Have you ever heard of that modern fairy tales revised or whatever it is? Not fairy tales, modern fables revised. The one on there's one where I think it's the retelling of Hansel and Gretel, and it ends with something like I don't remember. It's a retelling of some darn story or another. But at any rate, one of those magical fairy tale type stories. At any rate, it ends. The revision of the ending is the witch tried to be good, but she was easily her good nature was easily taken down because she was offered better prices on health insurance. What do you think about that?
That's kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, I'd have to have described it better.
For now, isn't that a long enough interview?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there you go.